Hi, everyone. It's Ken. Welcome to this week's Community Circle. It's wonderful to be with you. Whether this is our 100th time together or this is our first time together, if this is your first video, either way, it's an honor to have this opportunity to sit with you. I'm going to focus in this video on attempting to answer the question, what can happen when we're in transmission together? And even though we've settled on what feels to me like a much more resonant process for spending time together, that is opening, doing some meditation, some divine connecting breath, opening into transmission together, and then exploring with words if there are words to be shared. I want to try to answer at least some of this question, maybe all of it, before we gather formally in our circle for this reason. Maybe if I can explain a little bit about what can happen, in parentheses, I have no idea the limits of what can happen, because it's all between the divine and you, and not between the divine and you as in you need to hold an intention. In fact, I want to suggest the opposite is true. But in any case, I'll get more into that in a second. I'm not going to describe the things that can happen. We're just going to talk maybe about some of the why or the how. It's very difficult to actually articulate specifically, but I'm going to try. And then I'd love to open into our time together. I'd love to sit in meditation and then open into transmission with you already having had a little bit of a primer as to what might be possible in our time together. Not to try to seed for that or suggest it or anything like that, but to encourage you to really be fully with every step of the process. Okay, so when I talk about things that can happen, all I can do is reflect on things that have happened in when I've sat with people, either in a circle or working with them one-on-one. It's not like I have uh, a list of awareness that's flowing through me of things that can happen. Like if I close my eyes right now and ask for guidance about the kinds of things that can happen, what begins to take place is my feet start buzzing and my hands start buzzing, which are representative of an energetic resonance or an alignment with your true nature, your experience or expression of the undistorted expression of divinity as you. That's what my feet represent for me. That's how I interpret my intuitive guidance system. And my hands are representative of the things that are going on in the mirror. That is to say, the body, the mind, the outward expression of life coming into a state of resonance. So, what can happen in that experience is the inner and outer aspects that you actually have an experience of that on every level of your being. Now, what does that mean to you? I have no idea. I can't articulate that. Even if I could, I'd probably get it wrong. I'll give you an example. I can remember an individual that I worked with who approached me for help with traumatic dynamic that had gone on earlier in her life. And we did a session, and then she saw a chiropractor that she had seen for, I don't remember the particulars, but it was at least 10 years, maybe it was 15 or 20 years. And the chiropractor, and mind you, the work we were doing together, as far as I was consciously aware, as far as the person I was working with was aware, or at least speaking to me, had absolutely nothing to do with what the chiropractor reflected on. The chiropractor's comment was, I've never seen your spine this straight. And mind you, everything I do is hands off. It's remote. In this case, I wasn't even connected on a video feed. We were on a phone call, each of us on the phone call. Now, you might be thinking, well, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe it had something to do with something entirely different in her life. But mind you, this was a chiropractor she'd been working with for a long time. It was at least a decade. But okay, let's say it was something else. It's not like I'm trying to claim credit for that. I don't think this dynamic really has much directly to do with me. I mean, I think I play a role in it, in that is, I'm working to integrate so that I can witness and support and so on, in the way, or allow the divine expression to move through me without any distortion. But as for that movement of divine expression, that really is an enlivenment of divinity, at least this is how I perceive it, within you. And then, as I say, whatever unfolds beyond that is between you and the divine. And so I suppose it's possible that there might be skeletal work or other kinds of physical things that are changing or shifting. I remember one of the people who participated in the very first virtual session that I facilitated back in the fall of 2010 listened to the session live and had a physical healing. The session was not about physical healing, at least not as far as I knew or was aware of. And then listened to a replay of it, and the relationship with her husband healed. So, and if you think I'm focusing just on healing, let go of that idea as well. In other words, the enlivened divine within you can impact anything and everything at in ways that we understand or that make sense. That is to say, I feel better, or I feel a sense of peace or whatever, but maybe in ways that we don't understand or that we can't comprehend. And I just want to suggest that the more that each of us, when we sit together in this circle, are sort of open to that without holding an intention, without trying to direct divine presence, without trying to say, here's what I want this to be, and instead just opening up to whatever it is today between you and the divine, and just open up to that experience without any attachment or direction as to what that is. Another thing that I've said to people over time, and I suppose this awareness comes in intuitively, because how the heck would I know what people actually need? But that's sort of the language that I've used. It's not so much what we want, or at least what we're consciously aware of wanting, it's what we actually need that tends to show up when we're in transmission together. And that is taking place, again, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. So I'm just going to pause for a minute and see if there's anything else I can say about this. And while I'm paused, I want to acknowledge a few people who are checking in. Anyone who's on the live stream, I have the ability and right now the opportunity to say hi and thank you for being here. Masharda is here. It's wonderful to be with you. She's tuning in over on Facebook. And Judy is here tuning in on YouTube. And Angelica here. Yanya said hi earlier. And Joanne said hi earlier. And I just want to welcome everyone on whatever platform you're on, whether you're participating live or on the replay. It's really an honor to be with you. There's so much that can unfold. Let me see if I can speak for just a moment about the reason to let go of intention or direction. From my perspective, intention or direction, giving direction, let's say, I want this to happen, in other words, that, from my perspective, looks a little bit like a stop sign. I've done videos on this before about how intentions can be limiting and so on. And you're certainly welcome to explore those videos if you want to go deeper with that. But the key here is we have an opportunity to encounter the divine more deeply. And sure, we have that opportunity when we sit together, but we have that opportunity as human beings all the time, in each and every holy and sacred moment of our lives. It's always there. And so this time that we have together in this circle gives us, I want to suggest, gives you an opportunity to encounter an experiential dynamic of that, but not in ways that are necessarily congruent with the words that I'm using. especially today, I feel sort of limited in my ability to articulate with words. But setting that aside, it doesn't really matter what I think it is or how I describe it. What I really believe is going on here is this enlivening dynamic of the divine within you. That's about your relationship with divinity. And what unfolds out of that can be quite extraordinary and also very intimate, very personal. And as it turns out, I actually don't have a conscious awareness of what's unfolding beyond the kind of feedback that I was referring to earlier, my hands and feet, and in other ways in my body. And there's sometimes intuitive things that come in, pictures, sense of knowing, and so on. But it's never about an individual that's in the circle. It's always an aggregate dynamic. So if there's an image and maybe my mouth starts buzzing, I'll actually give voice to what I'm seeing intuitively. I'll speak it as we're in transmission together. But never do I see, a star over somebody's name or something like that. Here's what's unfolding for that person. So the only reason that I ever know about what unfolds in either a private session or in a public circle like this or in any class that I'm teaching or facilitating is because people will reflect on that or share about their experience that's unfolding, just as some people do here as well. Okay, Ian's checking in. Hi, Ian. It's wonderful to be with you. What I want to do is I'm just going to pause for a minute and mute the line so you don't have to hear me drink some water. I'll invite you to do the same if you're feeling thirsty. I'm going to grab my water bottle here. And then what I'd love to do is shift from a conversational dynamic to one where we're opening into that interior space and opening into transmission together. And if there's something more to say, I'll certainly say it. And if there isn't, I won't. We'll just sit in transmission together in silence. And then eventually we'll bring this experience to a close. And if there are any reflections that are coming up, I'm happy to give voice to those and so on. I think for today, at least, let's hold off on any kind of questions. The reason for that is kind of twofold. First of all, it feels to me like today is really an opportunity to sink into the interior dynamic. And there's a way that we can each be in that space as it sustains, even beyond the formal close of the video, beyond the formal close of our time together. And there's something else too. I'm going to be teaching a class coming up in a couple of weeks. It'll start actually 2 weeks from today on the 24th of February. And it's a free class, and I want to invite you to participate in it. It's called Experiencing Divine, excuse me, it's not experiencing, it's called Exploring Divine Resonance. And there's a link to register for that class in the description, or you can go to exploringdivineresonance.com if you're interested in signing up. As I say, it's entirely free. You're certainly welcome to do that, or you can watch the simulcast on, it'll just be on the YouTube channel. It's not going to go out on the other platforms. There's no way for me to offer that simulcast over on Facebook and on Twitter. In any case, in that class, we're going to have time set aside for Q&A exclusively for registrants for the class. So there'll be time within a couple of weeks, and then this class will go on a weekly basis going forward. So in that class, there'll be an opportunity for Q&A. It'll be part of the final segment together. And that'll be a wonderful way that we can have a conversation. And actually, if you're participating in the class, you'll be able to interact with me, not just by voice, but also with your video as well, if you're interested in doing that. So I'm going to pause for a minute. And if you'd like to check out exploringdivineresonance.com, you're certainly welcome to look at that. Give me just a moment. I'm going to mute. I'm going to grab some water, and then we'll open this circle and get started with transmission. I'm honored and grateful you're here. Give me just a moment. Okay, thanks for your patience. I appreciate that. Makes all the difference in the world to have, for me at least, to be properly hydrated, which in transmission could mean a lot of water. Okay, so now let's just set everything else aside. And when I say that, what I mean is visually. So if you're going to keep your eyes open for a moment, just let go of focusing on anything in particular. And energetically, if there are things that are tugging at your attention, or emotionally, or thoughts. So, on all those levels and on every other level, one of the things that can be very helpful is to be in a space where someone else may not interrupt you or disrupt you, if that's possible. And just then also to take that next step and to close your eyes. It's a wonderful, if you're comfortable doing that. It's a little bit of a paradox. Here I am on video. Why would you close your eyes? Well, I'm going to close my eyes. Okay. And if you want to close your eyes too, I invite you to do that, because when you close your eyes, it's like there's a shift in attention. Instead of putting energy or a focus out here, there's this invitation to turn inward. And then, in addition to closing your eyes, I invite you to breathe in and out through your nostrils if that's comfortable for you. And the last posture adjustment, maybe before I should have done this before I invite you to close your eyes, is to put your palms towards the sky. This is what I mean. Like, I'm sitting, the sky is right up here. If you're lying down, of course, it would be by your side, and so on. However you are. That's the other thing. I think it's really powerful to be in a comfortable position, whatever that means to you. As it turns out, when I'm in transmission, my feet are actually up. Many people who teach meditation teach that the feet should be on the floor. If that resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, I say put yourself in a comfortable position. My experience is God is always with us, no matter what position we're in. Some people like to walk during transmission. If walking around the room resonates for you, or you'd like to go out and walk in nature and listen in as we go forward, beautiful. Whatever is most resonant for you is perfect. Okay, eyes closed, breathing in and out through the nostrils, palms to the sky, setting everything else aside. As always, please don't operate a motor vehicle or heavy equipment of any sort during this or any time we're together. And as you find that place in the energetic circle, energetically, that place that resonates most for you, let's do a little bit of breathing, shall we? Deep breath in and hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, just let go of everything that has come before in this day. And you're letting go of that breath, if you can, out to the count of 8. Whatever tempo the 8 goes for you is perfect. My tempo may be too slow for you or too fast. Just be with your own experience, whatever that is. Another deep breath in and hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since you were born, again, out to the count of 8. And another deep breath in and hold. As you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since the inception of your soul. Again, all the way out to the count of 8. See the breath. The breath is becoming you, and you are becoming the breath. Be the breath. See the breath of the planet, serving everyone. With each breath, you are connected to each and every person by your breath. See how the breath of the planet serves not only people, but everything. With each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything above, upon, and within the planet. You may even begin having an experience of breathing by and for and of the planet itself. The breath is becoming you, and you are becoming the breath. The breath of the planet expands and becomes the breath of the cosmos. For that very last unit of breath at the very edge of our atmosphere touches space and in turn every other part of creation. And so we can say with each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything throughout all of creation, including that energy that underwrites everything else, the divine, a light, which you may perceive as originating at a tremendous distance, maybe even on the other side of the cosmos. Yet with each breath, it draws closer and closer to you until eventually you can perceive those twin frequencies which together express as the divine light, the frequency of the divine itself, the frequency of perfect health, not just as we understand it as human beings, every iteration, known and unknown. These twin frequencies intertwine such that there is no separating one from the other, and they are present everywhere. The divine light is present everywhere. You may have an experience of the light connecting in initially at your nostrils and then instantaneously throughout your entire being. An invitation to each of the smallest aspects of you. Come return to your natural state of resonance and alignment. And with that, you may even feel resonance moving through your body as those artifacts of dissonance appear to fall away and gather at the universal drain. For whatever remains in separation, I invite you to remove the universal plug. I'll do the same. The divine is becoming you, and you are becoming the divine. With your permission, let's begin. Sometimes, as we open into transmission, it's obvious that there are big things changing. Maybe there's a sensation moving, a limb might be flopping around. Who knows how that expresses or how you experience it. But it's also possible that you might be feeling and experiencing absolutely nothing and wondering, what is going on here? Or what am I doing wrong? As we discussed earlier, what's going on, or at least in my language, from my perceptual view, is an enlivenment of the divine within, an encounter with the divine presence within you. The divine in me, let's say, enlivens the divine in you. But beyond that, and those words may absolutely have no meaning. Beyond that, we don't know. We just open up to the mystery of that experience, even if it's one we can't feel or become aware of. Resting in the assurance that you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing to do differently. There's nothing to change. And if coming back to something to focus on is helpful, you could follow the breath in through the nostrils up to the crown and then down into the lungs. Might even have an experience of feeling like the breath is dropping deeper and deeper into the abdomen and then down into the hips and lower. Or perhaps the shorthand awareness, the river is flowing, might be helpful, or even the long form. With each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything, the divine, a light drawing closer, the twin frequencies, eventually connecting in, perhaps initially at the nostrils, and then instantaneously through every level of your being, the artifacts of dissonance falling away. And now that the universal drain has been pulled, they appear to depart. That feeling of resonance or not, perhaps it's a feeling of nothing. Sometimes a little dissonance gets stirred up in the process. You just allow yourself to feel it. It will transmute and the resonance will open on a deeper level. The river is flowing. The breath is moving. The divine is becoming you, and you are becoming the divine. The river is flowing. Be the river. Be. So, from my perspective, and I can feel these waves of resonance moving through at the level of the physical body. And if that's showing up for you, it might be a tinkling or buzzing or like warm oil or a hand or in other ways. But I really encourage you not to associate that with me, but with the divine within you. What I mean to say is that your body becomes a feedback mechanism, sort of the outward expression of that inner relationship, that inner exploration, that inner encounter with the mystical. And if you're not feeling anything right now, it's okay. That I believe that eventually will happen. Although I am aware there are some people who, for whom sort of bodily sensation is not kind of part of how they're wired, and so there may be other forms of feedback that, if you're in that group, you might describe as bodily feedback, but it's really another sort of dimensional experience, not so much literally buzzing and tingling or warmth or whatever in the body, but another dimension. In any case, however you might be feeling or experiencing that or not, if you are, I just invite you to sort of be with it, to notice it. And if you're not, just even keep going further into that unknown interior space. You can remind yourself the breath is becoming you, and you are becoming the breath. The divine is becoming you, and you are becoming the divine, and the river is flowing. Oh, there we go again. Just beautiful resonance moving through on all levels, energetically, and in the outward expression, in the body or other aspects of the mirror and so on. Hmm. Beautiful. From time to time, I have feedback from people who participate in this and other circles with me, other programs, and they might say, "Well, on Wednesday, you wrapped up the session, the transmission, and I was just getting ready to drop at a deeper level." And I always remind them, you can always pause the media. So in this case, you could just pause the video and then just start it again when you're ready for the transmission to come to a close. The transmission will just continue as long as you leave the video paused. So the key, of course, is to remember to start the video again so that the transmission can come to a close. In any case, with that gentle note and suggestion, when you're ready, I invite you to begin returning the universal plug. I'll do the same as I begin bringing this transmission to a close now. Plug all the way in. Transmission to a close now. You can keep your eyes closed if you like. I'm going to open my eyes and happy to just check in and say hi to anyone who might be wanting to do so over the live stream. But even before I do that, I just want to express really just a deep and profound sense of gratitude for the honor to sit with you today, to explore a little bit, to open into this interior dynamic, in which is of course a very sort of private interior experience, and then we're doing that beautifully in a circle in this way all together. The other thing I'd like to do before I open my eyes, and maybe invite you to do the same if you feel resonance with joining the circle I'm about to talk with, I'm going to be teaching a class called Exploring Divine Resonance. We're going to start in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today, on the 24th of February 2021. We'll have our first session. It'll be simulcast here on YouTube, only on YouTube. So if you're not currently a subscriber on YouTube, take this time, if you would, if you feel inspired to click the link and subscribe, please, if you would. And then also, if this video resonates with you, if you would, please give it a thumbs up. YouTube likes to see those kinds of interactions, and certainly if you have comments during the live stream here, I'll respond to those. And if you want to comment on replay, I'd love to interact with you there as well. But I also want to invite you to take that next step. If you'd like to actually not just participate in the circle as it unfolds, but to interact through the Q&A, but also then to receive an email each Tuesday before class with a study guide, to be able to have access to download the video segments of each class, transcripts of each class, the audio recordings of each of those segments. We'll have an opening, kind of an exploration of a topic, a transmission, and a Q&A. All of these will be available. It's entirely free. The class is completely free to participate in. There's a link in the description below the video, or you could also go to exploringdivineresonance.com, and you'll see there's a form there. You just add your name and your email address. Make sure you click the link where it says email me, which gives me permission to email you. And then you'll get an email within 10 or 15 minutes welcoming you to the circle. And then each Tuesday, you'll get an email in your inbox announcing the next class. And if you're looking at this video in 2025 and you're thinking, oh, shucks, I missed out on that class, you haven't missed out on anything. You can go add your name and email address now, and you'll get all of the recordings associated with this class. And then you can go download those and participate in the circle. So like I said back at the beginning of our time together today, you can participate live with a live stream, and you can also listen to the replay of a live stream here or of any class or session I've ever facilitated, and you'll have a live experience. That is to say, because the transmission originates with the divine and terminates, let's say, or is between the divine and you, that relationship takes place out of space and time. And so anytime we sit in transmission together, it is live for you. Okay, those two few comments, I just wanted to share and extend that invitation to you. I'm going to open my eyes here and see if there are any comments showing up on the comments here. It doesn't look like anything's coming in. It just means we're all sitting with our eyes closed, enjoying the resonance of being in this circle. And what a beautiful way it is to close out our time together today. What an honor as always. Thank you so much for making yourself part of the circle, for taking this time to sit, to be in resonance, to open up to a deeper experience of the divine within. Until we're together again very soon, another live stream next Wednesday. I look forward to being with you then. And then the class begins Wednesday after that. For now, peace. See you soon.